Welcome back to the channel. If you're an IB biology student, this video is your 5-minute shortcut to mastering one of the most frequently visited topics, water. As an examiner, I see many students making errors in this topic and confusing the key terms. So let's break it down clearly so you're ready to ace any question. So in this video, I want to cover the structure of a water molecule, how hydrogen bonding gives water its properties, any biological applications, mistakes to avoid, and finally, check on your understanding. First, we're going to start off by looking at the structure of a water molecule. This is a key area where students make mistakes, but it is so easy to master. Water is a polar molecule. It has slightly positive hydrogen atoms and slightly negative oxygen atom. The reason for this is because of the covalent bonds within the water molecule between the oxygen and the hydrogen. Because hydrogen has a larger, more positive nucleus, it exerts a greater pull on the electrons, and that gives you uneven sharing of electrons. Note the sign by these. So that funny symbol is the Greek sign for delta, and you've got the plus for positive, the negative, obviously, for negative. But this is not a full charge. This is not an ion, it's a slight charge. The polarity of water allows water molecules to form hydrogen bonds with each other. The hydrogen bonds are weak individually, but strong collectively, so they give water its unique properties. Do note, the hydrogen bonds are between the water molecules, and you should use a dotted or dashed line to draw them. You should be able to draw 2 or more water molecules and hydrogen bonds between them. Include the notation, the delta sign, to show polarity. So what are the expectations in an IB exam? A simple line drawing like the one on the left is absolutely fine. You don't need to show circles for the molecules or the atoms. Make sure that the oxygen atoms bond with the hydrogen between water molecules. So you can see that on the right with the hydrogen bond labelled. Okay, and use the Greek letter delta in front of the positive for hydrogen and the negative. The mistake I most commonly see with students is trying to hydrogen bond 2 oxygens together or 2 hydrogens together. So this is a quick check on your understanding. Can you identify the bonds? So you can see here, between 2 water molecules, the bond is a hydrogen bond. But if you're looking at within the water molecule, the bond is a covalent bond. And this is a frequently asked question and one that students frequently get wrong. Here's another exam style question where you could be asked, for example, to draw 2 water molecules and label the bonds. Now here we're indicating atoms with circles, but it's perfectly okay just to use the letters O and H. But do note that hydrogen bond is between a larger oxygen and a smaller hydrogen atom. Cohesion is when water molecules stick to each other. This is because of hydrogen bonds. Cohesion of water molecules allows the water to be transported under tension upwards in xylem vessels. The water molecules move upwards in a continuous column. Think of it like a chain of water molecules, like the image on the right. If there is transpirational pull of water from the top, then the column of water molecules get pulled up together. This phenomenon is known as cohesion tension. As water molecules stick to each other, this creates a surface skin on the water. We call this surface tension. It allows some organisms to use the surface of water as a habitat. The example shown here is a predatory insect called the water strider, and it can move along the surface of water with ease. Think also of lily pads floating on the surface of water. Adhesion is where water sticks to other surfaces which are polar, like the walls of xylem vessels in plants. Water can stick to plant cells because cellulose in cell walls is polar, so it helps water move up xylem vessels. Water will also stick to the surface of soil particles, and it helps the water creep between the spaces in the soil. In the same way, you can see water creeping up through a paper towel by capillary action. Water is often called the universal solvent. It dissolves more substances than most liquids. That's because polar water molecules surround and separate ions or other polar molecules. So therefore, a wide variety of hydrophilic substances are dissolved in water. In animals, substances like glucose, amino acids, and ions are transported in the blood plasma thanks to water's solvent properties. In plants, we see water being transported with dissolved minerals in the xylem, and in the phloem, sucrose and amino acids. In all living organisms, most enzymes catalyze their reactions in aqueous solution. Thus, water is the medium for the metabolic reactions to take place in. If you're finding this video helpful, please do give it a like. Subscribe so you can find out as other topics are released. The more this video is shared and seen, the more content I can create to help students around the world. In the latest IB Biology syllabus, there are 4 properties of water that you need to be able to describe and consider the consequences of to other living things: buoyancy, viscosity, thermal conductivity, and specific heat capacity. Buoyancy is the tendency of an object to float or rise in a fluid when submerged. Animals that live in water and in air or on land, they have the ability to rise easily and float in water. So examples of these animals are the ringed seal, as seen in this video, and the black-throated loon, which we'll look at in a minute. Viscosity is the state of being a thick, sticky, semi-liquid. So for example, honey is a viscous fluid. Now, water is considerably more viscous than air, so that means that animals that swim in water have to have special adaptations for this to move through it easily. You can see the seal, it has a nice kind of streamlined torpedo shape to help it move through easily, but it also has flattened flippers, and those can push the water aside and help propel it through the water. Similarly, water birds like the loon, ducks, and so on, they have webbed feet and they can splay out in water and push the water aside, but similarly they can also tuck them out when they need to glide through. For thermal conductivity, we can say that water conducts heat much better than air. Therefore, animals that swim in water can lose their body heat very quickly. The black-throated loon here has waterproof feathers to stop its skin getting wet and losing its heat too fast. The chicks don't have these waterproof feathers yet, so it builds a nest above the surface of the water so the chicks can stay dry and keep warm. On the other hand, the ringed seal has a thick layer of fatty blubber underneath its skin, and that insulates it, helping it avoid losing too much body heat. Water has a much higher specific heat capacity than air. This means it takes relatively more energy to heat or cool water. That means for organisms like fish using water as a habitat, the temperature of water can stay relatively stable. On a hot summer's day, the temperature of the water is unlikely to reach temperatures that the fish would die in. Similarly, water can be used as a coolant, so sweating relies on the heat of the body, helping the water to evaporate, and as that evaporates, it takes heat away from the body. The new biology syllabus highlights examples that you need to know. In this topic, you're expected to know how buoyancy, viscosity, thermal conductivity, and specific heat capacity of water all link to how the ringed seal and the black-throated loon are adapted to live on water and on land. So, I know there is a lot of content to cover in the IB Biology syllabus, but one way you can help yourself is by making links between different topics. So, for example, higher level students could use the example of a ringed seal again when it comes to adaptations for swimming and marine mammals. You can talk about streamlining and the adaptation of the limbs to form flippers. That's in B3.3. Similarly, xylem vessels transporting water and blood transporting a variety of molecules around the body links back to solvent properties of water as well as cohesion and adhesion in plant. Take a look at topic B3.2. In this video, I've highlighted some of the main areas I see students go wrong in the water topic. However, there are other parts to this water topic. Do make sure that you use a checklist and ensure that you've had a look at each descriptor there. So here's a quick check. Have a think. What property of water do water striders use to explore the surface of water as a habitat? Have a pause of the video and a quick think. The answer is the surface tension. Here's another quick check for your understanding, a true or false quiz. Pause the video, think about your answers, and then play again to find the answers. So the first one, that is false. Water has a high specific heat capacity. The second question, cohesion within water molecules, that is false because cohesion happens between water molecules. So the third statement is the correct one. The fourth statement almost looks correct until you read it says non-polar. Water is an excellent solvent for polar substances, not non-polar substances. For the last question, covalent bonds are not between water molecules, they are within the water molecules. So read questions very carefully. They often ask questions that might trip you up a little bit if you're not careful. So remember, if you're asked to draw or explain water properties, label your diagrams, use correct terminology like hydrogen bonds, and relate the property to biological examples. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more exam-ready IB Biology videos, and let me know what other tricky areas you'd like me to cover next in the comments below. Thank you.